This is Supermain. Welcome to Godfall 101.
Welcome to Godfall 101. IGN once again was able to sit down with technical producer at Counterplay Games, Dick Heyne, and talk about Godfall. This time, we'll be breaking down the new info we received about loot, progression, and more. So let's just go ahead and get into it. Dick says, and I quote, "We had this idea. We wanted Godfall to be the tinkerer's dream. Anybody who loves to get intimate with their loot and put the pieces together and see the numbers and see the impact immediately, that's the kind of game we wanted to create." End quote. I think that's all I ever wanted in a looter. Diablo 3 got the closest in my opinion when it came to tinkering with gear. Other looters have the illusion of numbers mattering, but really Weapon A is the same as Weapon A in most cases, leading to best in slot items that leave little to those who want to tinker with builds and create something unique. Quote, "Once we had the visual hierarchy established for the weapons, we were able to think about, would I chase for this weapon for hours just off of visual appeal? Not thinking about how it functions or how the player is going to experience it beyond visuals, but just this visual alone. Would I chase this? Is this something that's that valuable? Is it worth my time?" And once we were able to identify that, that's when it moved over to our design and gameplay programming. End quote. Is it worth my time? That is the question at the heart of looters. It's the question that should be asked by all players everywhere, anytime they purchase a game, anytime they sit down to play a game, anytime they sit down to look at an achievement list, anytime they consider folding laundry or doing their taxes. Is it worth my time? Valuing my time as a player and making items worth my time is easily one of the best things that a developer could tell me that will get me on board to play their game. My time is worth more than my dollar, and to hear a developer say that they respect my time endears me to that dev team that much more. Now, whether that actually happens in the game, that remains to be seen, but it encourages me that they are even mentioning it as a core design philosophy. And remember, when I was talking about that plain Jane boring sword, this is why we have them, to have a starting point to build up to looking like a god. Quote, "For us, it was all about that satisfaction of how you look in the beginning of Godfall and how you look at the end. You should be proud of where your character is at the end and what your arsenal looks like." End quote. Do you think Dick is hinting at possible skins that are not just recolors of our Valorplates like we've seen? I mean, the weapons will ultimately look really cool at the end, but are we going to have options to add interesting looks to the 12 Valorplates? I mean, they look amazing now, but what about their visual progression from the beginning of the game to the end? All right, let's talk about that skill grid, shall we? Quote, "We really just wanted there to be maximum flexibility with the skill grid. We wanted to avoid choice paralysis because Godfall combat can be quick, it can be snappy, it's action-packed, and if every 2 levels you're having to open the UI menu, read each individual skill, decide the best path for you, it wasn't synonymous with what Godfall is, and it would really hinder the player's experience." End quote. So some real quick highlights. The player can respec instantly on any of the Valorplate skill trees. Now, I might not just be understanding correctly, but this seems like every plate will have their own individual skill tree and their own augment constellations. Or maybe I'm just not understanding that correctly. I know they'll have their own augment constellations, but I'm not sure about the skill tree, if by changing a different Valorplate you will want to respec your skill tree, or if that is something that every plate has their own skill tree. Your skill points carry over from one Valorplate to the next. So if I go from Phoenix to Greyhawk, those different skill trees will be specced out differently. I'm not sure how that works. We'll just have to find out, I think, in the future. I mean, we're pretty close. We'll probably just find out when it's time to actually play the game. But not having to grind out skill points for 12 Valorplates sounds like a huge time saver to me. And in the skill tree, there are 25 areas to choose from on the tree. There's weapon techniques, weapon timing, might, rampage, polarity attacks, soul shatter, rallying slam, critical hit damage, siphon, breach, vitality, crit hit chance, Archon Fury, ailments, all stats, shield attacks, shield prime, resistances, recovery, takedowns, shield throws, banners, spirit, weak points, and finesse. There appears to be 5 levels in each of those areas, meaning that you would need 125 skill points to fill out everything in the grid if each level only costs 1 point. Depending on what the level cap is, we do see in one screen a level 50 Aegis Horn. It will be interesting to see what combinations players come up with, and it's exciting that there will be such diversity in the builds. As suspected, the 7th Sanctum will also house our forge, where we can craft weapons, and will also be communicating us throughout the campaign apparently. Also, Dick notes and maybe takes a jab at a major issue I personally had with hub worlds in other games. Quote, "We wanted to make sure this wasn't cumbersome, that you had to run from point A to point B to point C, and you spend an hour in the Sanctum before you actually get to a mission." End quote. So the Forge will allow you as a player to upgrade the rarity of a weapon, granting it more perks for the cost of realm resources and also enchant weapons. Certain resources can only be found in specific realms, so the hardcore players will become very intimate with these realms, but casual players will find enough resources in the story campaign to craft several plates and weapons without having to participate in content they do not want to. It really sounds like the team is trying their best to cater to casual players and more hardcore players. This is something that has been very difficult for other people to do effectively, is to cater to both of those groups because their goals are so different. Trinkets are another layer of Godfall's Tinkerer's dream system. So to recap, you can select your one of 12 Valorplates, skills on the Valorplate skill tree, Valorplate augments, the number depending on the rarity of the plate I assume. We've seen 9, we've seen 10. 2 weapons, 2 rings, 1 amulet, 1 charm, 1 lifestone, and 1 banner. You know how I've been trying to manage my expectations so I'm not horribly disappointed if the game does not knock it out of the park? Well, all this talk of tinkering and augments and chasing weapons and looking amazing is really pushing me towards full-on hype mode. Even just reading the list of perks that we're getting to experiment with gets me excited. There's banner overhealth, void damage, restore health whenever you hit a weak point, restore lifestone charge whenever you place your banner, create a healing AoE whenever you use your lifestone, chance to inflict bleed, ignite, chill, shock, poison, curse, and these are just a few of them. All in all, the biggest thing that makes me more excited about Godfall today than I was yesterday is the team making respecting my time a core philosophy of the game. Respect is not given, it is earned, and counterplay is really starting to earn mine. Thank you for watching the video. Again, if you have not entered the giveaway to win a copy of the game, you can enter at the link in the description below. If you want to find people to play with, you can join our Discord server. I'll be building a larger Godfall section as we get closer to the launch of the game. And if you liked the video, please consider subbing to the channel and sharing the video with your friends. And as always, please be kind to each other.